Hi, 8th grade. So just realized that this wasn't very focused, so I'm going to focus that up. We're going to go over our Lesson 28, Session 1, or continuing on with finding missing angles, just bringing it up to more of an 8th grade level. So before we got to the connected piece, we were asked to find x. In a picture similar to this, telling us that this image came from stained glass lines that were connecting. So we're trying to find that angle. And so what we came up with was that the value of x was 58 degrees. And a couple of you did it a couple of different ways. So to answer what angle relationship did you use to find the value of x, that's all going to depend on you. Some of you knew that angle AEB and angle BEC added to 90, right? So they form a right angle. So they add to 90 degrees. That may have been what some of you put, right? If you were subtracting from 90. Some of you noticed that AED is a straight angle. So I can more easily write. So some of us knew that angle AED was a straight angle. Therefore, angle AEB, angle BEC and angle CED add to 180 degrees. So those were the two types of angle relationships that most students used to find that x was 58 degrees. So now, working ahead, and I'm going to zoom this in, making it a little bigger, and I'm going to try and find lots of different colors to kind of use on these lines here to kind of show. Okay, so first and foremost on the look ahead when we read through this paragraph, this picture is the same picture from the Try It. We know that line AD and line CF are perpendicular lines, so in the future and from here on out, you're going to see me use that symbol to represent perpendicular. It's basically two perpendicular lines. And also, the M in front of the angle stands for measure of that angle. So we're going to put that anytime we're going to put equals and then a number behind it. So just so that you are aware, that's some geometry is all about notations, and so you need to know those notations. All right, so A talks about adjacent angles or two angles that share a vertex and a side and do not overlap. AEB and AEF are adjacent angles. So I'm going to use yellow. Here's adjacent angles, right? And it is telling me that AEB is adjacent to AEF, which they are. Adjacent means next to, right? And so this angle here is next to this angle here. There cannot be any overlap. So they are adjacent because they share a vertex and one ray. There is no overlap between the lines. And that's what adjacent angles are, right? So now we have a straight angle. Well, and this says name another pair of adjacent angles. There are multiple. I'm going to name one, but you should be able to name a couple more after this. I can continue with AEB and say that it is adjacent to BEC. So angle AEB and angle BEC are adjacent angles as well. A straight angle measures 180 degrees. The sides of a straight angle form a straight line. Name a straight angle. And so here is a straight angle. There are 3 straight angles that we can name, and so this is angle CEF. Remember, when naming angles, we have to have 3 points, and our vertex has to be the middle. All right. 2 angles whose measures sum to 90 are complementary angles. Explain how the diagram shows that AEB and angle BEC are complementary angles. So we can talk about the fact that since this one's a right angle, then the other side has to be a right angle. We can talk about all of that. But really what I told all of you to write today is that I'm not worried about you explaining, but since these are our notes, a way that we can remember complementary angles, right, is that complements helps if I could spell today. Complements, there we go, are always right. And so, I mean, the saying's basically getting at that when we compliment someone, we say, hey, you've got nice fit today, or I like your fit, right? That's the right thing to do. But the other thing that this helps us with is that complementary angles, right is a 90 degree, right? Or correct. So that's another way that we can think about it. And so an example of complementary angles are AEB with BEC, because those 2 angles add up to 90. And this one's not a highlighter, so I'm just gonna match my colors is what I'm trying to do. Okay. So then our next one is 2 angles whose measures sum to 180 are supplementary angles. Let's see, I don't have purple yet. So supplementary angles add to 180. And there's no cute little saying, so, if it doesn't add, if they're not complements being right, then there's supplements that are double, right? So, here's an example of supplementary angles. I can have AEF with FED, because there are only 2. I cannot use my 3 angles, each in their separate, and call them supplementary angles, because they are, for them to be supplementary, I can only have 2. That does not mean that these 3 don't add to 180, it just means they don't get that special name. All right. And then lastly, vertical angles. What is the color I have not done? I've got purple. Close enough. All right, vertical angles, get this in the picture, are opposite angles formed when 2 lines intersect. So I could come up here, and here are 2 lines, and so then this angle here is vertical to this angle here. Just there's so much color going on up there now that that's getting hard to see. So what I'm going to do, and they're going to come down here to vertical angles. We're going to draw 2 intersecting lines. Maybe if my pen will work. There's one line, here's another line, right? The vertical, or the two intersecting lines can have any angles that's going on, right? But my vertical angles, I'm going to have a vertical angle here. They share a vertex, and its pair is there. Those are my vertical angles. Or if I go with another color, this angle is vertical to this angle. They share a vertex, but are on opposite sides. They share no rays, they share no insides, they just share one vertical, or one vertex. Vertex vertical. Okay? Sometimes I think this is easier to see the vertical angles though. So they will be across from each other. Alright. From there, you were asked to go ahead and fill these out. So you should have been filling out the fact that an angle are two rays connected at a vertex, or something in your own words. Right? An acute angle is less than 90 degrees, and an obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees. Identify one acute angle and one obtuse. I would say making sure that you write acute and what you're calling an acute angle, and obtuse and what you're calling the obtuse angle. Remember, vertex is in the center. So for this, your vertex should be E. And it should be the middle letter to any and all of yours. All right, this is asking what's the value of y, and show your work, and then it says check your answer to problem 3. So that's up to you. I know that this is 90, but a way I could check it is if this plus that is also 180. So if you're needing help with B and how to check your work, there's something you can do there. I hope this is helpful. The most important piece was all of this vocabulary we went through. Students, you're always welcome to get colorful with your stuff, because sometimes that makes it easier to see what we're talking about. So just in the future, if you like to use colored pencils, colored pens, highlighters, the answer is yes. While we're doing notes, you're welcome to. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in class.